So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very happy morning. It's 9 o'clock now, so we should get on with our program for today. First of all, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming and taking your time to listen to today's presentations on the technical forum, which is our first series for this year, number 1 of 2022. The original title was on the postmortem of the recent flood incidents, focusing on the role of geospatial and remote sensing and disaster preparation and prevention. And then ever since then, the Secretariat has enlarged it. We focus on the disaster management and of course the preparation as well. And also we focus on the case studies of the floods that happened last year. So this is a crucial development in our society. As the weather changes, these are very extreme weather patterns. Malaysia is not used to having such extreme weather patterns. I grew up at a time when they say Malaysia is a very well-sheltered nation. We don't experience much, at that time, no earthquake as well. And maybe once in a while we get the monsoon, especially in the East Coast. And that was about it. And when I speak to experts from Japan, they normally neglect or avoid Malaysia. They say, you have no issue in disaster management. There was the situation like that. And I think one of our ministers also made a statement like that, many years ago. He's being misquoted now, saying that we have one of the best management systems in the world. I think that's just some naughty people playing around on the internet. But back to this issue. So we had a very serious issue with the climate change and the changing weather patterns. And also, don't forget, our changing landscape. We are all culprits in this exercise because we help to change the environment through our development. We cut and fill more land, make it level. Finally, the water has go nowhere to run. It runs into our homes. So, with this perspective, I'd like to welcome you again to today's forum, and which is organized by IGRSM, supported together with the IEEE GRSS Malaysia, by UPM, by SIDPRI, and by STRIDE, Science and Technology Research Institute for Defense. So I thank all of those organizers and the Secretariat for all the hard work put in to make this series happen. And today we are going to have 2 speakers. One is from MET Malaysia, and the next one will be from BGSP JUPEM. So I will introduce the first speaker, and he's followed by his presentation of the paper, and also his question and answer. Then later on, when the second speaker, I will introduce him at that time. So the first paper by Muhammad Firdaus Ammar bin Abdullah, written together with Wan Maisara binti Wan Ibadullah, Muhammad Sofian bin Muhammad Yusuf, and Hamre bin Muhammad Yazid. The title is Predictability of Extreme Rainfall Events During the Northeast Monsoon Season. A recent case during the 16 to 18 December 2021. That is the case study we have in mind here. Now, I read out his bibliography. It's on his paper, but I read out again nonetheless. Mr. Muhammad Firdaus Ammar bin Abdullah is a subject matter expert in a numerical weather prediction at the Malaysian Meteorological Department. He has significant experience in meteorological research and development, including in monsoon research, which he did between 2000 and 2004, and he was also an operational weather forecaster at the Butterworth RMF base between 2005 and 2006. And he has over 15 years of experience in development and operation of numerical weather predictions models from 2007 till now. I think we are very blessed to have such a speaker with us today. So the floor and the mic is yours, Mr. Muhammad Firdaus Ammar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid. So let me share my slide. Okay, is it visible?
While Ammar is preparing the slides, audience, you are welcome to ask any question through the chat box. And later on at the end of the presentation, we'll address those questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rashid. So is my share slide visible? Can the slide be seen? So, okay, so a very good morning to everyone. So today I will talk about the predictability of extreme rainfall events during the Northeast monsoon, especially a recent case during the 16 to 18 December. So this is co-written by my colleagues and from the Research and Technical Development Division, the Malaysian Meteorological Department. And as we look, the scope of my talk will actually encompass, I'll talk a little bit on the Northeast monsoon climatology during December. So what actually happens during the Northeast monsoon during December? I mean, I'm not going to touch on the mechanics and the details of the Northeast monsoon itself, but just look at in December, what can we expect? And then we look at a general synoptic review, meaning we look at the weather patterns during this period, the 16 to 18 December, what actually happened. Then we look at the predictability. In order to predict things, you do need a weather model to do it. And so we're going to talk about the high resolution model, which we use at Meteorological Department, a little bit on the model performance and the tropical cyclone Rai, which was present, it made its passage into the South China Sea during this period, and a brief summary. So let me begin. So when we look at the Northeast monsoon, especially in December, and what actually occurs, so we look at the generic condition, what modulates rainfall. If you look at the blue shade, it's all rainfall, and if you look at an average, this is a long-term average of what goes on in December. So you have you have the cold surges coming from Siberia. You have this cold air burst comes out. And then it's the intensity is subject to all this interannual variability, seasonal variability, so on and so forth. There is variability associated with every single weather and climate pattern. So you have the cold air outburst, which is A, comes out. And predominantly during this period, you have a lot of northeasterly winds, which is B. You get all these winds which are northeasterly. And then you have the heavy precipitations associated predominantly over the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, lasting 3 to 5 days. Each of these episodes, especially during when you get A, the surge coming down, you have the northeasterly winds B, and you will get quite a lot of rainfall over the east coast. But we need to bear in mind the west coast receives rainfall as well. So the bottom line is that whole region is actually quite wet during this particular period. Is low of moist because we are in the tropics, which means that we have abundance of moisture and we have abundance of heat, which can raise up those moisture. So there's a lifting of moisture and there's a lot of heat, and this moisture can move around both horizontally and vertically, creating a lot of rain actually. So this is we live in the tropics, and we need to bear this in mind actually. So, and then you have D is known as the monsoon trough, the active monsoon trough. And this is where everything happens along this monsoon trough. So let us look at the, now when you look at that line, the 8 meters per second line, so when you get the cold air outburst from Siberia, we know that something is going to happen, and it's going to interact with the oceans, and it's going to push moisture inland. And when it does that, we get a lot of rainfall. Now, the location of where the moisture is going to push in is always dependent on the monsoon trough. You look at the monsoon trough. So when you look at when we are getting these cold surge events, if the wind speeds are more than 8 meters per second for 3 consecutive days, we measure. And during this period, from the 1st to 19th December, there was a cold surge present. That means there was a lot of cold air outbursts from Siberia. It was coming down from the 1st till the 19th. But then one might ask, why prior to the 14, 15, 16, 17 December, prior to that period, nothing actually happened during the cold surge. What was different during the 14 to the 17th December? So what was different? So was a tropical cyclone. So you throw a tropical cyclone into the mix. So you have the cold surge coming down, you have the northeasterly winds, you have the monsoon trough located ideally at that position, and you throw in a tropical cyclone inside the mix. Then that's a great recipe actually, so to speak, for heavy weather, and we can see, we will look later how the models performed. Now, this is what actually went on ground. And you look at the rainfall. We picked up the 4 different stations, which is Taling Jaya. There's locations which I put there. Subang, KLIA, and Kuala Lumpur. And if you look at the 16th, 17th for Petaling Jaya, for 16th, 17th, and 18th, you see that there is a diurnal kind of pattern, which is you have rainfall peaks occurring like this is in station hour 1 to hour 24. So 13 is around around 1 p.m. or so. So, and you can get the rainfall happening in 2 peaks, but over the course of the time, if you notice the hourly rainfalls both on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, it peaked, so that you have heavy rainfall occurring for 3 days. And you look at the Subang station, it's the same, and you can look at the peaks from the 17th and the 18th especially, actually. And then you look at Kuala Lumpur, the same thing. It did have heavy rainfall on the 18th, and this is a build-up to the heavy rainfall events. And if I did a little bit of the statistics, and we looked at on the 17th, the rainfall over Selangor, and we look at KLIA, so it recorded the highest hourly at 58.8 millimeters, highly occurred on the 17th, and the same for the Petaling Jaya station. And whereas for the Subang station, we recorded the heavier rainfall on the 18th. And if you look at the daily total, this is the hourly rainfall. Look at the daily totals. KLIA recorded 236 for the whole day on the 17th. And the 18th, Petaling Jaya 187, and Subang 295. And this is what occurred in Selangor. So we did receive quite a lot of rainfall. And this is the East Coast states received a little bit earlier. So you have to go back to the 14th and 16th, because the underlying conditions were such that the East Coast state stations, Kuala Terengganu, Kota Baru, and Kuala Krai, they also received rainfall, and all of them peaking on the 18th, but then they did receive much rainfall much earlier, meaning that on the 14th and 15th, they did begin to receive strong, heavy precipitation in terms of hourly precipitation. And if you look at it, but they were much lesser than the West Coast stations on the highest hourly ever recorded, and that was the time of recording at 3 p.m. And on the 16th, primarily they received. So they received much earlier on the East Coast before moving towards the West Coast, which received primarily on the 18th. So what does all of this mean? So what we look at this is the East Coast station daily rainfall pattern, and the 16th was the highest recorded daily totals for the 3 stations. Now, what does all of this mean? Were there any records broken? Were there any records broken during this period? And naturally, no, there wasn't any records broken. There were no records broken as pertaining to these stations per se, which the selected stations. There weren't any records broken during either from the highest hourly or the highest daily or the extreme dailies occurring outside of this period. And we noticed that no, we didn't have it never occurred during this period. None of the records were actually broken. So now let's look at what happened from the 16th to the 18th. As I mentioned, in the mix, you throw in a tropical cyclone, and there was a tropical cyclone Rai, and you look at 2 p.m. on the 16th December, it was pretty much over Philippines. And the moment it was crossing Philippines, you begin to see over the northeast coast of Peninsular Malaysia, there seems to be a system which is forming over there. And this came out with all guns blazing. So that was a system which actually caused the rainfall in the northeast coast states on the 16th, as we viewed from the station records. And then we go in at 8 p.m. It's crossing over Philippines. This actually the Funging 2G satellites which we took. And then we look at on the 8 p.m. on the 16th, and you look at the system crossing inside. And then if you look at 2 p.m. on the 17th, it moves slightly down southwards, and it's crossing over, and you can see very clearly. And then on the 8 p.m., you notice that it has moved in, and 2 p.m. on the 17th December, you notice that it becoming more a little bit, it has tapered off a little bit. 8 p.m. on the 17th, it re-intensified, and on the 18th, that is where you get the peak rainfall. If you notice, it has already intensified, and then on the 18th, 8 a.m., it is actually considered tapering off. So this is the we are looking at the cloud formation because it's a cloud imagery from the total black body radiation that we're looking at, and this is what occurred actually in the period. So you notice that the system tropical cyclone spawned the circulation over Peninsular Malaysia, and that circulation actually crossed Peninsular Malaysia. Now, what actually went on, if we were to scrutinize this a little bit further, and to see whether were there any elements of predictability, and you will notice that if you look at the wind patterns from the era 5 and you look at the general climatology, we always look at tropical cyclone Rai, A, you look at the cold surges which was coming down at that particular period. You look at the monsoon trough, D, because that's the wind patterns which indicates the monsoon trough. And then you look at the tropical disturbance, the transient disturbances which actually crossed over. It was by Peninsular Malaysia on the 16th, and on the 17th, it began to cross by, and you look at the surge coming down, feeding into the tropical cyclone Rai A, and as it moved further, the tropical cyclone is drawing in more westerly winds towards the south, and that is the one which is below, and that is the one into what they call the main reason for the winds here to intensify. And as the system crossed over, it intensified the circulation, and it moved back in a short distance, then it stayed anchored over Selangor. So if we look at the higher resolution, this is from the era 5 observation data, which reanalysis data actually. So this is good. And we look at now the 9 kilometer, our model generated analysis data. And this is a little bit clearer because of higher resolution. And you look at the cold surge coming in, you look at the circulation over here, you look at tropical cyclone Rai sitting over here, and then you have the monsoon trough, so to speak, and the very strong westerly winds, which is intensifying over the periods and causing this circulation to intensify and anchor over the Klang Valley, so to speak, where we receive brunt of the rainfall, sustained rainfall from the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So if we look from, this is vorticity to show the circulation. If you look at the 16th, you saw this system moving in. There was nothing at A2 location. A1 moves in as well, and you look at A2, move system from the left moving in, and then you see it intensifying on the 18th. This is to put it in a nutshell, and that is what occurred, and it was very clear. So these things were very clear, and it was noticeable actually. So now let us come to the model domain configuration. So this is how we run our weather models. And this is the large domain which we take at 9 kilometer resolution. In it nested is a 3 kilometer resolution. And in it, we put in a 1 kilometer resolution, and we do city scale forecast, 300 meter resolution. This is the highest resolution which we have, which we run the model. And it takes a lot of computing power because we do need high performance computing cluster to get this job done, which has got roughly quite a bit of cores. We have almost 9,000 cores we use to run this this domain configuration, and this is to pick up all the weather patterns coming in from the east of Philippines and moving into the Indian Ocean as well. So we need to capture everything. So we need to run a large domain. Our region is very complex because we are surrounded by the Straits of Malacca. We are surrounded by the South China Sea, and we have got a complexity in orography. And what occurs in Siberia during the northeast monsoon impacts us actually to a large extent actually. So these are the things which makes things very complicated because of our location within the maritime continent. So now let us look at how did the models fare 7 days ahead. As we noticed, as I mentioned, there was an entry point of that circulation and there was an exit point. So the model predicted 7 days ahead. This is 7 days ahead, that there were entry points that at 5 p.m. it will enter somewhere near Kijal, this is north of Kemaman, and then it will sustain around 11 p.m. 16th, the circulation's inside, and then it exits at 2 a.m. on the 17th. So the transitional period from crossing over peninsula, it takes about 9 hours. The problem is the longer it stays in there, the circulation, the more what they call rainfall it's going to create. And if you notice on the bottom is I've overlaid with the rainfall pattern. Obviously on the 16th, it started with the rainfall over the northeast coast, and you looked at a little bit occurring over the Klang Valley side in the Straits of Malacca. So then you get upon entry, and then it sustained for quite approximately 9 hours, and then it crossed over and exited at 2 a.m. on the 17th. And we look 3 days ahead of time, and we see what is happening. And as long as the entry point, there's a bit of variability of the entry point. It entered around 12 a.m. It sustained at 17th. It intensified in tide, and 1 p.m. it exited on the 17th. It is becoming longer and longer as the forecast period becomes nearer and nearer to the actual date. So it hit in Pantai Dungun in Terengganu, and approximately it took about 13 hours to cross. And you look at what happened when upon exit, it created a lot of rainfall on the 17th. So this is 3 days ahead. So this is models initialized on the 14th of December. So we were very well aware of what was going on even 7 days before the so-called event. And if you look at 2 days ahead, and obviously there's a shift in the entry point, and it entered at 12 p.m. and this system moved in, it sustained, and it came out, it exited around 6 a.m. And then if you look at the 2 days, and you can see it creating the rainfall about 9 p.m. on the 17th, creating quite a lot of heavy rainfall. And obviously upon total exit on the 6 a.m. as the winds intensified, it created more rainfall. So this one, it moved south a little bit, then the hit location being Gebeng, Kuantan. So it did change a little bit. So, but we noticed and we kept track, and this is why operationally we need to look at those signals and those markers which are precursors to the heavy rainfall episodes. We need to be vigilant and on our toes, because we need to look at the model results, because when you look at today's observation, you need something to project them into future, and hence you need weather models. We can't actually project them using our own mind because it does not work. We need to have a set of mathematical equations within the weather model to actually project it forward. And if you look at the location and duration of crossing over Peninsula Malaysia, and you look at all the red points are the probable entry points which the model predicted, and all the probable exit points. So we had the exit points and we had the entry points. So we had the range of areas where it was possibly is going to hit and where it's going to come out. So we knew that this particular region on the west coast is the region which is actually going to receive abundance of rainfall. It's going to receive abundance of rainfall because of this system is scheduled to cross. It is not as strong as a tropical cyclone. It is just a disturbance, so to speak, but even a disturbance can trigger heavy rainfall episodes. So this is what we were prepared by looking at those model performance. And we looked at how did the model actually perform in terms of the spatial and temporal, in terms of the timing. And if you look at the 48-hour lead time, and you look at the 54-hour lead time, and it did pick up over the course of 2 days ahead and 3 days ahead. It did pick up, it did do justice, it did pick up the heavy rainfall events associated with the system moving in. And we have another product which is then a time lag ensemble, meaning that we take all the previous runs and we look at for consensus, and we see whether there's what is the probability of all the runs, model runs, focused on 12 to 36 hour rainfall, just 24-hour accumulated rainfall, which will hit the greater than 50 millimeter threshold. And you looked at the rate areas, which is if you look at 36-hour lead time and 60-hour lead time and 84-hour lead time, and you do see that the system is actually predicting. So this is like on 14th and 15th model initialized, which is for 2-3 days before the events. And you can see that we have already picked out that the 16th heavy rainfall in the northeast coast states is already bound to happen. And we have looked at, and this is a fractional skill score. Fractional skill score is just tells you what are the spatial location, because everything is geospatial in nature. So what is the spatial coverage of the observation points and the model points? How much of the observation points model points are in consensus with the observation points as a fraction? We look at that, and so the higher the ratio, the better it is. And for the first 60 hours of forecast, naturally you get great skill score as it tapers down as the lead time increases, because we all know in the tropics there's a limit of predictability. In this case, 7 days before it did okay, but then generally in the tropics we don't expect the model to be extremely impressive after 3 days. Usually it's not. There is a deterioration of the forecast skills. And if you look at the radar imagery, and this is the points, and you look at the 36-hour lead times, and you look at it did justice actually, 24-hour, 30 hours, and 36 hours, and this is nearing the period, and it did pick out actually the heavy rainfall events. And green is the hits, and yellow is the false alarm, and blue are the misses. But pretty much the green seems to encompass all the area where the model picked up, as opposed to the radar. So green are the hit points, and quite a large hit points on this what they call lead time. So this is on the 14th to 15th, basically 2 to 3 days before the event. And this one we look on the 17th, and pretty much we also pick out all those circulations and the heavy rainfall we did pick up, and we look at the 50 millimeter thresholds, and it did pick out. And if you look, the main thing is obviously the skills deteriorate with time, but then the first 60 hours the model did perform well. And then you have the radar echoes, and you see that the forecast skills actually quite good, because you give all these green regions picking out the forecast. So this is the 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, because as you know that Saturday was the biggest period of the heavy rainfall. And this is on the 15th, 16th, and 17th lead time, whereby that is where the Klang Valley begin to receive a lot of rainfall. So up to 84 hours prior to the event, we did get a lot of accumulated 24-hour precipitation, and all the rainfall shifted from the north and shifted down south, with going more than 50 mm, what you call threshold, exceeding 50 mm threshold was great. And we look at the skill score. This was a bit longer, so we have 80 hours of fractional skill score, meaning most of the grid boxes were predicted by the model. And this is the radar data, and we show that it did pick out, and we have points of we had what they call misses, and we had false alarm, but pretty much the green, which are the hits, were quite good actually during this period. In terms of model performance, is quite good. So if we were to look at the fractional skill score, so we do run a 333 meter versus 1 kilometer model, and we looked at both the models actually did quite well for the beginning periods, both the 300 meter resolution and the 1 kilometer resolution, because we were actually using radar to do the fractional skill score to account for the observed points. So the radar resolution is not yet at 300 meters. So there is some subject to some what you call errors there, but then it still can be used. And we looked at both the models did okay, actually, under the circumstances, it did do well. And if we were to scrutinize how the 300 meter resolution, it's a very high resolution model, which we do for Kuala Lumpur, exactly. And this is the box of Kuala Lumpur, and this is the radar imagery, and this is the model forecast. And if you look at both the radar imagery for Kuala Lumpur and the model forecast, and you can see it picks out the heavy rainfall part over Kuala Lumpur, and this is the peak over Kuala Lumpur, as we said, because we have two stations. One we consider PJ and we consider Parliament station. We look at the two peaks, and on the right, this is the black is the observation, and the colored ones are all the model forecasts. And if you look at the model precipitation forecast at various lead time, you can see that the peak of the actual occurrences are almost similar to the ones picked out by the model. So this usually it's very difficult to get that, but in this time the model did do relatively well. It did a little bit of justice to the forecast, so we could use the forecast actually pretty much. So and let us see the naturally there was a tropical cyclone, and we wanted to see whether did the model pick out. Okay, if we go by the model initialized on the 15th, which is about 3 or 4 days before the event, obviously did not pick out the track well, so this is like off. Then if you look at the other periods from the 15th at 12 for UTC, which is at 8 p.m. in the night, and all the subsequent model runs, the black is the actual observations. We used IB tracks from NCAR for the actual model, and you can see that the all the subsequent forecasts on the model on the track was good. So if it could get the track right, then which means that it can get all the main features which are occurring in the atmosphere right. The only thing is how much of water falls down from the cloud. I mean, to put it in lay terms, how much of water is going to shed from the clouds. Now this predictability, this has always been a biggest problem for everyone operating weather models globally. You cannot know how much of rainwater, the precipitable water coming out from a rainfall cloud. You will not know the right amount. It's very difficult to predict this. But we can have a rough ballpark figure, whether it's going to be heavy or not. That is the main contention, that you have a rough understanding of the amount which is going to come out. The exact amount, this is a big question mark, because no one has actually done. You cannot say that it's 50 millimeters of rainfall going to come out from the clouds today. That is impossible. So that is something which, I mean, we are improving the skills course in terms of quantitative precipitation forecast. But we know it's a very long way to get an exact amount coming out from the rainfall. I think it's currently impossible. Okay, so we look at weather and climate. So that's the reason why now I'm going to wind up soon. So the weather and climate impact modeling framework. So basically, we need to forecast weather impacts, and you know that maybe a 30 millimeter rainfall is okay if it falls middle of nowhere, but then if it falls in the places where there are heavily populated areas, and it's going to create problems. So you need to associate the impacts associated with the forecasting, and hence we are working with the drainage and irrigation department now for more geared towards an impact-based forecasting. And it's all based on how much of training, how much of data, and how much of geospatial data. You need to pull out a lot of geospatial data, and you have all those satellite imageries, you have rainfall information, land use, you have flood map archives and the elevation maps and soil types and so on and so forth. And you need to curate all this variety of geospatial data sets. You need an API to actually kind of connect with all the other applications which we have. And you need to pull out those layers, and you need to retrieve those data sets. And we are concerned on the precipitation part of things. We do have satellites, and you need to do an AI mapping, and you need to do ground truthing. You need an integrated flood model, which means that we need to understand the workings of a flood model. Either it's using data-driven flood model, or it's using a hydrodynamic flood model, so on and so forth. Then you need to validate it from a simulated flood event to an actual flooding event. So our part is just up to the precipitation part, actually. So what happens after that? So we need to look at the AI for the climate impacts, and that's our next way forward that we're doing. We need to do validation, calibration, and uncertainty quantification from our weather forecast, so to speak. What are the range of predictability? What are the uncertainties associated with numerical weather prediction and weather forecast? What are the uncertainties associated with weather warnings and so on and so forth? And so we came up with this kind of forecast, which is the impact-based forecasting based on river basins. And you look at the red areas, and we have actually earmarked the regions, and we looked at the rainfall thresholds. We created some kind of probabilistic forecast to tell you that these are the points, these are the regions where we expect heavy rainfall events. These are the red are the ones which you need to watch out. This is what called Lumpur, and the yellow, it's mid-range, but the reds are the ones which you need to watch out. So we created this impact-based forecast based on thresholds of rainfall exceeding 50 mm and so on and so forth. So we did that based on our current endeavor in order to use this machine learning and so forth, and big data analytics actually in order to come up with a better way of delivering our forecast. And this is actually in operations now. We actually have communication with the Drainage and Irrigation Department with regards with this time lag ensemble, we call it. And we use in order for us to provide the numerical weather prediction forecast, we do use GIS web portal, runs off our high performance computing. It does run off, it's a 24 core system which we have using just for this. We have out of 9,000 cores, we've allocated around 24 odd cores for this GIS application, whereby we have the 2D GIS and 3D GIS map. And we do the 2D, and you can overlay the rainfall and so on and so forth, and you can zoom into the regions and so on with the NWP forecast. And you have a 3D zoom. You can actually overlay all those layers of wind, rainfall, maybe temperature and wind and so on and so forth, zoom into the location and look at the 3D, and you can rotate it this 360 degrees. We use it mainly for the airports because we have the runway alignments, and you can look at the runway, the approach and the takeoff and so on and so forth, and what is the weather pattern. So
I'm referring to your question on the budgets kind of thing.
The one that requested by Panena, the SP form huh?
Yeah.
Can Secretary switch that off, please?
In fact,
please switch that off. Mute all.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everyone.
Okay. Maybe I talk to you later. GM call me.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the 3D maps which we have, and in a summary, so how global models impact mesoscale models. The models which we run for Malaysia, it's known as a mesoscale model. In triggering heavy rainfall events need to be investigated. The current heavy rainfall episode was well picked up by the model 2 days ahead of time. However, the model reliability in conveying the information to stakeholders and end users remain a challenge. Communication, again, we say that this is a thing, how much do they trust on the forecast and warnings which we deliver? This is the question. So we did pick up this 2 days ahead. We started issuing weather warnings from the 11th of December, 13th of December, much way before the events actually occurred. And another thing is resolution does have an impact on the model performance due to the complex terrain. The higher the resolution, the better the land use and orography is resolved inside the weather model. So geospatial information is very crucial for the operations of the dynamically driven weather models. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ammar, for your very enlightening talk. You covered very broadly the entire area from the northeast monsoon, including the cold front coming in from Siberia, the tropical cyclone, also the local disturbances and so on. And I'm wondering whether there are questions already from the floor. And any questions? I open the floor for any questions.
Yes, so there's a question in the chat box. So, Mr. Ammar, can I share? Can I share the screen? I'll just show the questions.
Yeah, sure. Let me stop
All
the
right. Okay. Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. Okay.
All right. So, Prof, these are the questions that we gathered from the audience.
This from the audience, huh?
Yes, sir.
So what I do, Ammar, Mr.
Yeah.
Ammar, I will
Yes.
read out the question one by one. Huh? This is from
Yes.
the audience.
Yeah, sure.
So the first question, we can read along to also. Number one, can we still adopt the current weather focus model when there are many unforeseen weather events or the unpredictable effect of the climate change?
Okay.
You understand the question?
Yes, I do. So,
Yeah, okay,
if we look at the IPCC assessment report 7, which is about to be published soon, the IPCC, it is going towards urban climatology. And if you look at the present, it's more towards climate impacts and the enrichment of climate services. For that, you need a weather model, and the weather models are ever growing and ever changing. And as I mentioned, because now it's moving towards urban climatology, we need the resolution. As I say, it's improving within the models. So the model actually, you need to create a probabilistic approach. That's why we came up with the, so to speak, the time lag ensemble to create the uncertainties, to quantify these uncertainties. So when you quantify the uncertainties, you will know the limit of predictability. So in the models these days, you know what is the range of predictability, what are the limitations, and what are the associated uncertainties. So you come up with threshold-based precipitation forecast. Yes, it's relevant, and yes, the weather models now is up to date, and it can be used for the future. In
Thank
spite,
you, Mr. Ammar.
yes.
On this point, I'd like to clarify. You mentioned about the resolution, which is so crucial. You also mentioned it in your summary, yeah?
Yes.
So currently using the 333 meters has the best resolution you have.
For Kuala Lumpur,
and
yes.
This is the outcome we have, as you have explained just now.
Yes.
What will be your recommended best resolution?
There's a limit to this resolution, right? So from 300 meters, the best resolution which we could go down further, which is physically and dynamically viable, is 200 meters, Dr. Rashid.
So, I mean, JUPEM can map, if you like, even to a meter or less.
But the dynamics, the equations in the models will not work beyond that 200 meters, Doctor. So there's a limitation to the physics, the model physics. So these are physics driven.
So in your case, you prefer at the best a 200-meter resolution model?
Yes. So which means that it needs to be associated with the digital elevation and digital terrain map for 200 meters at least, in order to drive for the whole peninsula. Although when you're going to run for this 200 meters for this Kuala Lumpur based 300 meter, we actually use the LiDAR data from Kuala Lumpur actually.
So for that data, you have already got 200-meter resolution, I believe.
Yes, we do. Correct.
Yeah. So in the future, you can actually model it right up to 200 meters?
Yes, we can. Yes, correct.
It will be interesting to compare then how your results for the 200 meters comes up against the 333 meters, which was used earlier.
Yes, Dr. Rashid. True.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Now let's move on to the next question. Can we get the data if we also plan to help in predicting the future flood events?
We actually do give the data in an operational basis to the Drainage and Irrigation Department for flood forecasting, Lembaga Urus Air Selangor for the dam outflow management forecasting. We have quite a lot of clients where we do give the model data up to 7 days in advance for the flood forecasting actually currently.
So the person who asked this question, maybe you can answer from the floor. Are you meaning for this data for the public, or are you talking about the interagency cooperation for this number 2? Because I understand there are some scientists who like to also play with the data. If the data is in the cloud, if they could access, they could also like to create the models and make predictions as well. Although it will be a private prediction, of course, not the official government prediction.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a problem, Prof. They just need to write in to the department and say that they would like to use the model data, the hindcast data, so to speak, the historical model data, which they like to use for events or even future data they would like to, they can write in, because so far there are universities which have requested this. One is Uni10, TNB Research and so on and so forth have requested data to do their research on flood modeling, actually, Dr.
Oh,
Rashid.
excellent, excellent. I think the researchers will welcome that. Number 3, it asking you to compare between AI and the weather forecast model.
Okay, so when I mentioned to you, so there's the data-driven weather modeling, which is AI, actually artificial intelligence, where you train the data based on geospatial data, you train the model data, and then you have dynamically driven model data. We need to use in tandem both of it. You need to have also the dynamically driven, the ones using the model physics and so on and so forth, which is more compute intensive. We need to use it in tandem. Once you have that data, you need to use machine learning and AI to train the model output to pick out locations of heavy rainfall, because there are so many parameters which are inside the model. So you need to know what are the recipes for heavy rainfall or heavy lightning strikes in particular regions. You need to use AI. So you need to use it both in tandem.
Yeah. Now, thinking retrospectively, since
Yes.
the event already occurred, and we have all the data 7 days even in advance, or even more than that, if we use that data, maybe we can come up with a prediction model for what happened in the West Coast or in closer to KL and in Klang, for example. Maybe this could be one of the approaches to develop a AI model, which fits well with the actual event.
Yes, correct, Doctor. We can actually because that's why we use AI to actually scrutinize and do from the model data for us to pick out what are the points of interest which we need to watch out. You're right. Yes.
Useful. And the next question is about the user perception or acceptance or feedback survey, whether such surveys have been conducted on the existing reporting scheme. I'm not sure on this question what it means by reporting scheme. Is it reporting to the relevant agencies or from?
So how it goes here? Maybe let me try to answer this.
Yes,
Dr.
please do.
Rashid. Yeah, so we actually come out with the weather warnings and the weather forecasts, and we have various channels how we get it to first to the public, and then we have all the social media, what we call channels we have, and then to the television and the mainstream media as well. And then the main thing is we give to the national NDCC of NADMA, National Disaster Command and Control Center, and they are the ones who actually will take the action to what you call to coordinate with the relevant agencies and the state level agencies on disaster management and relief efforts. Actually, so that is how it works. So in terms of feedback, so it's almost instantaneous. The one which goes into social media, obviously we get brickbats as well. So we get instantaneous what you call feedback from the public. Oh, your warning is late, or so on and so forth. And then you also have the feedback from the agencies where they have the postmortems, and we have meetings prior to the events and after the events. So it's almost instantaneous. We get the feedbacks in terms of so we know the user perception, so to speak, from the public's perception. We know that, and we know what are the disaster management agencies, because we know that we need to get things out timely. We need to get things out at least a day in advance for disaster preparedness and so on and so forth. So we are aware of the user perception.
So you get the feedback a lot from the social media side, very
Yes.
Directly, yeah.
Yes, directly.
But on that fated weekend, correct me. Did the Met Malaysia issue already a warning of the weather on Friday?
Yes, we issued on the 11th of December and 13th of December, and we updated the warnings as it was closing by, actually. So we had warnings in place ever since the 11th. So almost 16 warnings or so we started issuing from the 11th of December onwards. So that period, because as I mentioned, the surge was already present, right? So we already knew that because it's such a big system coming in glaring. So we began issuing the warning from the 11th onwards, actually. Doctor.
Yes. So this is what I'm curious about, The warnings have been issued, and you said 16 warnings have been issued prior to that. And but the perception among the public, among the people, that nothing seemed to have been done among themselves. No preparation. And then later on, the event unfolded itself. So this is, I think, what the question is saying about the perception, about the feedback. On the one hand, one agency is giving the warning. On the other hand, the other agencies, and particularly the public, is not responding to those warnings. Maybe this is an area later on can be focused into depth. How this
Yes.
can be overcome, how it
Yes.
can be taken more seriously.
Yes, a dissemination of information, reliability of the warnings and the forecast, and what people should do and how they should trust those information coming from a government agency and what they should do. Because this preparedness actually, because during the northeast monsoon, usually the folks in Kelantan, Terengganu are more aware of what is going to happen. So the people in the Klang Valley, mostly they think, okay, it's not going to happen over here, you see. So those are some of the things which needs to be ironed out, and those perceptions need to be changed actually.
I see. So some maybe some social engineering need to be done to prepare
Yes.
society better for situations like this.
Yes, Doctor.
And let's move to the next question. Do the other agencies understand the values and scales used in the reporting?
Yes, they do actually. So because we have already got a clear SOP, clear guideline between the agencies, and our main target is NDCC of NADMA, and that is the main agency which coordinates everything. And so we actually do have a clear guideline on the intensity scales of the warnings, which is red alert and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I think the planning is not the issue, but at the level of the mitigation and response for that particular weekend, it did not happen as most expected it to happen. That may be the question here, you know, how will the agencies understand the situation? You know, the Friday was already bad, and then Saturday got the worst of it, and the mitigation and the response was not as most people would have expected it to have taken place.
Yeah, correct. They would not have expected it to be taken place.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think this is where we, I think, also need to later on, maybe the relevant departments can highlight how this situation can be improved. By the way, we are here not at all an fault-finding mission. We are trying to see how we can prepare our society better, because we expect in the future there may be more such instances. So our society, our people can be much better prepared to respond to such events. So let's go to the next question. What are the customer expectations when they receive this information? Example, a statewide alert and action.
So our part is just to provide the weather warnings, and when it goes to NDCC, the customer here is, we have the public, we just say heavy rainfall warning. Now, heavy rainfall associated with it, if there is no flooding occurring, then heavy rainfall is heavy rainfall. The thing is that heavy rainfall, when it triggers flooding, so then it becomes an issue. Now, flooding is under the purview of a different department. So and obviously we work together with the department in charge of flooding, this drainage and irrigation department. But NDCC is the one who will communicate once they get our NADMA, which will communicate. Once they get the heavy rainfall warning, they will communicate with the relevant agencies. So it's a joint agency effort. It's not only my agency which is in charge of the. So when it goes, we give the heavy rainfall warning, what is going to happen in the heavy rainfall warning, then it goes to the disaster committee, so on and so forth. And there's a few layers actually, which I will not elaborate here.
Yes, I think the Secretary also has made attempts to invite all of the other players. I think down the line in different talks, we will get to hear their point of view and their suggestions how we can overcome the situation. And the next question is, I want to ask if the government do use the research output as regards flooding from the academic field.
So flooding, I will not be able to answer because this is done by the drainage and irrigation department actually. We only focus on what they call the heavy rainfall and weather forecasting. So our research primarily is all on improving the weather models.
Yeah. Okay. Number 8, you have to answer yourself now. You're asking
so
for
okay. This one is just. This is just because we need to have the digital elevation map, digital terrain map. You need to have land use categorization. So the more finer, so you need to define like urban canopies, because there's plenty boundary layers, which I need to go. The higher the resolution, actually, the better it is of this information. This is just one small information. Weather modeling has got a lot of other information which needs to go into the weather model. One of it is the land use and land, what they call terrain maps and so on and so forth. So the higher the terrain map, the better it is. So we need to use a very high resolution land terrain map when we go into a higher level, because you need to depict the urban canopy inside the numerical weather models actually. So yes, numerically, yes.
Mr. Ammar,
yes.
I think what the guys asking here is that LiDAR keeps very high accuracy, And what you require here is just a 200-meter resolution.
This is just to put it in a rough, this thing. I have the requirements, actually, the exact requirements of the LiDAR data and how we actually transform the orthophoto images into the information which the model requires. There are ways how we actually convert them. So I'm not explaining the technical details here.
Yeah, sure. Also, we have afterwards the next speaker from JUPEM. I think he will give more, because JUPEM already prepare very good maps. I think the 200 meters no issue at all. The maps
we actually
beyond this resolution.
Correct. We got the high resolution LiDAR data from JUPEM's Bahagian Geospatial Ketenteraan. They are the ones who gave us the data.
Yeah, understood. But whether you really need that higher resolution, because
we do need for urban canopy models. Yes, you need.
I see. And you already got it, huh?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Sure. So we have the 8 questions. Any more questions from the floor? Okay, still, anybody like to ask from the floor directly? That means just on the mic and ask question. So, Mr. Ammar, as you're aware about the 7 days in advance already, yeah?
Yes.
And you have that rainfall station in the East Coast.
Yes.
Is it possible to create a model based on the rainfall received at the East Coast station against what the occurrence will be on in the West Coast, for example? So this is after the event, but again, with that enormous amount of data you have, maybe this can be done so that in future it can trigger an alert when it goes beyond a certain threshold. There is a possibility that West Coast may be hit. Again, this is not conclusive; it's just prediction. But at least there will be some indicators, and people can take precautions ahead.
Yes, yes.
I don't think so at the moment you have such system. When you have heavy rainfall on the East Coast, the general understanding, especially when I was studying geography early in the school days, we got our main range in the middle there, and the northeast monsoon doesn't impact the West Coast so much like it has an impact directly on the East Coast itself.
Doctor, so what the weather models do currently is they can actually predict both the heavy rainfalls in the West Coast and the East Coast simultaneously. It does for the whole country because it's 1 kilometer resolution, 7 days in advance. So basically, if we use the observation as a precursor, that is one thing. But then what we do is the model dynamically there actually calculates the atmosphere, and it actually comes up with both the forecast. So we also already knew that the rainfall over the West Coast, especially the Chien is going to be heavy because the model did predict that, Dr. Rashid.
Sure, thank you. There's one question here from the floor, from the audience. If we need map data, can we request for it? I think you answered earlier, right?
Yes, you can write in, yes. Write
Maybe you can reassure them that you will supply to them.
You can write in. Some of the data is subject to the Fee Act. So you need to write the state email and ask requests, because the one handling the data is from the National Climate, Pusat Iklim National actually. So in Meteorological Department, so you can write in and state that the data you want and the all those things, and then they will do a calculation for the fee, and then you can always apply for a fee waiver if you require it. And that is the things you can do. And then if you want the model data, you can also write in, and then we can, we'll be able to, department will process that accordingly. And obviously you can contact us directly actually and tell us what you want and what, and we can give consultancy as well.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Any other questions from the floor? So, if no other questions, I think we all appreciate very much what Mr. Ammar has presented, and he has answered the questions very nicely and very soundly. And he has also offered to give data from his department if you write in officially. I think that's an excellent deal for all of us here today. So let us show our appreciation the normal way by showing our reactions on the screen. Thank you very much for all those handshakes and congratulatory messages. So thank you very much, Mr. Ammar. We hope to have you again another day as well.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. Thank you.
Okay. So shall we take a 5 minutes break and come back here in now it's according to my time it's 9:59. Please come back by 10 o'clock and 4 minutes. Then we will start with the next speaker. Some of you may want to grab a cup of tea or you want to take a break. If you are in UPM where we normally conduct the professional talks, the technical presentation, we'll probably give you Mihun and Teh Tarik or something like that. Huh? But today we just have to help ourselves at home or in the office. Okay, see you in 5 minutes. Maybe a secretariat can play some soft music or some notice says you, okay, you have got session to be continued at 10 o'clock and 7 a.m. Huh? Okay. Thank you very much. Any soft music? Okay, the time now on my clock is 10 o'clock and 7 minutes, so I hope you had a good break. We'll now go to the second speaker, Surveyor Yeap Chien from JUPEM, and specifically from the Geospatial BGSP, Defense Geospatial Division. The title of his presentation is on Geospatial support for mapping of disaster incidents. So thank you, Secretary, for having put the first page there. And I will read out his biography here. Surveyor Yeap Chien received a bachelor degree in engineering, geomatics, and master's degree in science in geometric engineering from University Technology Malaysia in 2003 and 2010, my alma mater too, UTM. He served as an assistant program director of survey in the geodetic section, Survey and Mapping Division, National Institute of Land Survey, INSTUD, from 2005 to 2014. He has been with the Department of Survey and Mapping Malaysia, JUPEM, since 2014. I mean, from INSTUD moved to JUPEM, serving as Assistant Director of Survey in the Services and Coordinating Section, Geodetic Survey Division, 2014 till 2016, and Assistant Director of Survey, Geospatial Information Management Section, BGSP, which is the Defense Geospatial Division, from 2016 till now. He has been recognized as a subject matter expert in geodesy coordinate system since 2019. He has received a number of awards, including Excellent Service Award in 2011 and 2017, as well as INSTUD Innovation Day Award 2012 Best Instructor Recognition Award. That was in 2012. I think we have a very qualified and well-experienced speaker. The floor is yours and the mic is yours, Surveyor Yeap Chien.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, is it everybody can hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, let me share my screens. So, is it my screen appearing?
Yes, Surveyor, we can see your screen.
Okay, so before I start my presentation, I would like to say thanks a lot for the organization and for the invitation for this technical forum for the talking about the geospatial support from JUPEM rules. Okay, so actually I'm working in the Defense Geospatial Division since 2016, and during that time I'm trying to move up, which is our geospatial data in availability in the JUPEM and providing in the MAF, Malaysia Army Forces, okay, operation to apply all in digital availability geospatial in their operation. Okay, so since 2016 until today, nowadays, the operation like since our topics is regarding for the disaster, they got a one operation they call Op Muni, Operasi Muni. There's a search and rescue for the especially for the disaster purpose. Okay, so okay, so so I would like to start with the introduction. So as we know, disaster can be divided into the natural and man-made or technological hazard. So natural disaster is caused by the natural process on Earth, such as earthquake and tsunami. But the man-made disaster is more to human activities, such as flood, and caused by the city development. Technological hazard is environmental pollution and will affect to the greenhouse or ozone layer. So same goes, I think we got in the same channel or rules too. Okay. But in Malaysia, disasters are usually monitored in natural. Disaster in Malaysia are often flood and landslide. So ini biasa didengar. So sini banjir, situ tanah runtuh. So most likely our kawasan tinggi, tanah tinggi, landslide is known to the area for Cameroon or other places. This disaster has recently increased in frequency in certain areas. However, there are also unpredictable disasters such as the 2004 tsunami, which is we are not which we are ready for the prevention also is out of our control. Okay, it's become the natural disaster. Flood are the main disaster and the biggest concern in Malaysia so far. Then, as we know, every year Malaysia prepare a flood disaster, especially for the East Coast state, Pahang, Terengganu, Kelantan. Then recently, the last December, suddenly it's happened up in the Selangor state, right? So, but it hit by the what can we call it is worst flood disaster on 21st of December 2020. And Ammar was reported that 33 districts and 8 states were affected by the flood during the time. So total about 62,000 people were accommodated in 430 evacuation center. So dekat pusat tu seramai masa yang terlibat lah. The disaster preparedness as sebagaimana yang sedia maklum, jangan tahu JUPEM is one of the agency contributing to disaster management, which contributing various of geospatial data such as elevation data set. So seems also the Malaysia they're using elevation to doing the prediction, the modeling for the raster data set, imagery photogrammetry. For last time we have to doing the area photo, and now today they can be represent or replaced by the UAV, but the cover area is too small, right? And the vector data set. Okay, in line with in this, JUPEM have published 10 SOP to provide the geo information on disaster pada tahun 2020. So pada ketika itu pun kita ada buat sambutan GSD kan. Okay, so during that time we have published for the 10 SOP that include flood, water pollution, air pollution, tsunami, earthquake, land grabbing, landslide, utility and epidemic, and forest fire disaster. Kenapa pada ketiga tu kita ada keluarkan untuk SOP berkaitan dengan geoinformation disaster? Because since I joined to BGSP 2016 until today, I will get the opportunity to involve in their our MAF operation. So honestly, for me, it's a good experience for me to involve to get well known. Actually, the JUPEM provide the geospatial data for the MAF. Apa kegunaan dia orang, and what's the reliability, and to convince their operation for the decision making for the next level lah. Okay, and as we know, disaster management is a process of effectively preparing for responding for the disaster. So same goes. Semua agensi kita mampu memberikan maklumat, but we are not the authority department to speak up or to publish any awareness or any press conference regarding this kind of thing. Same, I think, is same goes to the Malaysia also, right? Okay, and there are various agencies involved in the disaster management, such as NACMA, NDCC, so MKN, JKM, then ATM, and so on. So these are the agency that involved, and I got the opportunity to live with the all the agency regarding for the disaster management. Okay. All the information that we publish, so JUPEM is always ready in assist in disaster recovery through its expertise and provision of geospatial data capability involved in SAR operation, as I mentioned just now, in the MAF operation. So for search and rescue, they call up the operasi MUNI. JUPEM take the responsibility in producing disaster map in Malaysia and publish the geospatial information through it. Our JUPEM, they got one system they call My GeoSurf, and the other one is Defense Geospatial Information Management, which is under BGSP admin.
Sorry, I think your slide is stopped there.
Is it?
I think maybe you can off it and re-switch or resend it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the slide learning?
Here it says title is geospatial information. And it shows 4 bullets. Disaster management, database agencies.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the geospatial information that we gather all the information and publish or serve through the MyJoseph or the BGSP portal. So actually, what we call it? It's a complex phenomena that require comprehensive structure, compatible, complete, relevant, and accurate information to make the right decision. But as we know, the geospatial data, we got a various kind of data. So, adakah dia structure, or is it either in the same frame, or we have to cleaning or doing any additional editing, add on value. So, following by, okay, then must be the source from the various agency lah. So let's say from the map Malaysia, we get it the predicted 7 days weather forecast, and which we combine with the GPS data for the each lembangan sungai. So from that we can get one visualization for the actual terrain will be happen, or when we apply the GIS tools in the modeling analysis. Okay. And to utilize all the data, we need a comprehensive geoportal lah. So platform mesti ada. And right now, we are serving the DGIM. Actually, our DGIM portal is saving the user mainly coming from the MAF. So ATM, and we gather all the information integrated with the dynamic data. So satellite imagery, non-spatial data, tabular, utility tools, and decision-making support tools. And after that, they're helping and visualize. The user had a command and monitoring and make a decision through one-stop platform. So actually, the ideas coming out is we gather all the information from the technical agency to become one common operating picture that gather all the necessary or relevant geospatial data in one platform. So next, I will touch the process that we need to go through. I think from the floor, so setiap agency ada punya structure data masing-masing. And when we get the data, actually apa outcome atau output yang kita predicted. So contohnya, let's say, like example, we get the data from the JKM. They got the statistical data for the certain pusat pemindahan sementara. So instead of bila MAF search and rescue op MUNI, the victim will bring out from the MAF where they have to send out. So they don't have the statistical info on the ground, and they just put in adakah dia nak hantar pergi ke pusat sementara satu, pusat sementara yang kedua. So all the statistical data is managed by the JKM. So through the DGIM, we able to display all kind of data and giving the right decision for the command. Then the other side for the JKR, we know that JKR, they are always updating the di mana jalan tertutup, look closer. Then from the JPS, they got a certain they got a lot of the sensor on the along our main river. So lembangan sungai ada sensor yang membacakan ataupun dari segi paras air semasa. So adakah paras pada ketiga tu merupakan pada waspada ke ataupun bahaya. So from that we can giving a good decision or visualize the worst thing will happen setakat mana for the operational siapa yang dekat ground lah. Then beside that, JUPEM also coming, we created an initiative to provide the latest ataupun melaporkan keadaan semasa. Because as you know, along all over the country, JUPEM we got a kaki tangan ramai. So bila something happen, okay, di mana sources dia nak report kepada pejabat. So we call it they got a JUPEM crowdsourcing to give the real scenario or real hakiki ataupun tempat keadaan semasa pada ketika tu untuk pengurusan top management lah for the next decision making. Yang kedua, next is regarding for the spatial reference. As we know, bukan semua agensi melibatkan ataupun menjanakan data-data geospatial, which is consist with the location base. So dia ada tabular data. So same goes to the JKM. JKM dia tak perlukan data di mana lokasi PPS ini. Dia hanya perlukan dewan ni boleh membuat berapa orang. So until today berapa sudah diisi dan berapa kekosongan lagi. So daripada situ we get to create to become the one GIS view. So we have to publish or we gather all the info as a spatialkan dia. Dan satu lagi yang biasa digunakan pakai, as we know in Malaysia or JUPEM, we have published our spatial reference yang utama GDM 2000 Geocentric Data Malaysia pada tahun 2000. Sehingga kini I believe that they got a lot of agency is still applying that we call it gunakan datum WGS 84. Then bila kita nak buat integration, they are kind of adakah kenapa ada herotan berlaku, dan bila data tu tak duduk atas exactly the location, dan persoalan akan timbul how accurate the geospatial data that you want to appear or visualize in the map. So ini kadang-kadang as we sebagaimana I involve, seboleh-boleh we are more nakkan lebih accurate and the right position on the site. Apa yang kita nampak dekat on screen berlaku yang sebenar dekat lapangan. So ini yang saya pegangkan dekat BGSP lah. So all the data we have already cleaning and mashup mengikut keperluan yang diperlukan. Okay. Yang seterusnya kita baru buatkan proses integration. Bila integration, saya rasa is an audience or alert they go the one standard coding schema that we call it MS1759. But in fact, bila all the agency memang ada buat apa satu kolaborasi ataupun satu kesepahaman in between, we can share each other for the data. But how come the data is empty, non-value? So adakah kita perlukan populate? Dan benda ini kita ada sentiasa ada keep going ataupun keep up to date for the technical department mengikut kesesuaian lah. Dan benda ini memang akan terjadi dan boleh berlaku. Cuma kita perlu dapatkan data, the right data lah. Okay, dan kita akan manage in the one database. At the end, baru kita buatkan penyebaran data, dissemination. So dissemination setakat ini kita buatkan untuk melalui platform DGIM, which is BGSP portal, is a integrate all the data that we call it one common operating picture lah. So benda ini terjadi susulan pada pandemic pada tahun 2020 before we start up for the MCO. So I will one of the committee in the gather all the information work together with MKN. Okay. So next I will touch apa sebenarnya yang berkaitan dengan DGIM. So sebenarnya DGIM I will define it into the 5W1H. So kenapa, gimana, apa yang boleh buat dan bagaimana kita boleh buat ya. So DGIM platform include portal services, infrastructure software and network. The web services are provided through a service-oriented architecture for the integration and dissemination spatial data. Dan benda ini kita telah berjaya di proving our concept ataupun our practically on site, especially for the MAF operation since 2016 until today lah. Dan saya rasa untuk map memang kita pun ada buat integration, dapatkan layer SOA itu daripada forecast weather, dan untuk plan Malaysia land use, then ada DOA, dan daripada perangkaan. So seterusnya berkaitan dengan where. So let's see the DGIM enable information gathering through the stakeholder collaboration. With the distribute collaboration, you can extend the reach of the GIS content by seamlessly sharing map apps through and more with the other agency. Distribution collaborations It's based on fundamental and trust between participating organization is motivated by common goal and initiative that support data access for sharing. So collaboration can be useful for many workflow, including kebetulan untuk dekat DGIM platform ni, we are using the platform Esri. Dan dalam Esri, AJIS Enterprise tu, they contain the public and they making the data visible across different departments within the organization. Okay, there's no single pattern for the collaboration. So kadang-kadang apa data set yang kita create ataupun structure data tu is not reliable ataupun not practically for the usage. Let's say for the map. Map dia nak tahu kan untuk kita punya keadaan terrain pada keadaan maybe less than 200 meter yang as mentioned just now. Actually from BGSP or JUPEM, we got the IFSA data set for the whole country is less than 10 meter resolution. Okay. Okay. So next, DGIM to become to the details of the bring everything in was relevant.
So yeah, are you there?
Yeah. Is it my Zoom is
You guys was a bit unclear for a few seconds earlier. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
Okay.
We can hear you now, yeah.
Maybe good if everybody off their video. We have some bandwidth issues, I think, this morning. Now I am not hearing the speaker anymore. I don't know whether participants are hearing him. Maybe you can reply in the chat box.
Yeap, can you hear us? Yeap, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah. Now you can see my slide.
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Can I suggest everyone to switch off the video? At least we can save some bandwidth to make sure there's no more disconnection. So yeah, can continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So can I continue?
Continue, Survey. My apologies for the disruption.
Okay. Is it? So okay. Is it everybody can hear me?
We can hear you, Survey. Yes.
Yes, better now. Better now.
Okay. So next is regarding the why. So the Jacob to bring it as an authority referring the DPMM, Directorate Pemetaan Negara Malaysia, to provide any geo-information related for the stakeholder in order to achieve Jacob vision. Then Jacob functionality enable user to integrate geospatial capability, and the analysis will be developed through the DGIM portal by the stakeholder. Later, this current information, the comprehensive COP as it the better visualize and disaster situation. Therefore, the development of the SAR operation can be performed efficiently. So actually, apa yang berlaku sekarang ni, dekat DGIM portal, we are fully support for the MAF operation. And actually, what in the screen, they got we call it the apps is info bencana. They got several information they can giving in the one picture or one URL to access all the related information. And the predicted analysis that we showing is just we got a few places that we doing the case study, especially for the Taman Sri Muda and the Bukit Kenul. later I will try to show you up. Okay. Next is when.
Yeah, the slide is not moving, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So next is bila masa kita nak gunakan benda ni kan. So all agencies are responding. Okay. Baik. Where? Okay. So task during a disaster and play an important role in collecting and sharing real-time data. So dekat sini kita dah boleh nampak untuk pada ketiga untuk enemy. So kita ada tabletop exercise dekat MKN. So we are proving the collaboration between all the agency, the necessary geospatial data to integrate in one platform. So to give a one common thing, common operating picture to the top management, is it our mitigation or our decision untuk doing the MCO by locality or what? And this help relevant agency to work together and to coordinate rescue mission, priority criteria area and optimize resources distribution. So dekat situ melalui MKN, we are get involved for the exercise. And the implementation we follow by using through during the vaccination. Next is who, and we got a 4-tier user. Okay, which include the basic user, advanced user, specialist user, and enable user. So dekat sini portal BGSP platform tu, either kita dah populatekan analysis yang sepatutnya untuk dong visualize and to get the real picture on site, and including our supporting JUPEM cloud source for the pelaporan on site. Okay. And DGIN sebenarnya dari segi macam mana practicing dia, dari segi prinsipnya sebenarnya apa yang berlaku dekat open network ni, ini dah berlaku dekat kita punya environment secure. So which is our operation MAF, they are practicing this kind of thing in the UC2 and NC2. So we just copy out all the structure and the principle to apply it to the others, because jika kita gunakan throughout the network UC2, the NCO, P4, which is the necessary port to access the portal. Okay, daripada 5W ratio, so kita terbitlah apa yang services yang capability dekat kita punya platform DGIN. So bermula daripada user, when the user requested ataupun perlukan maklumat ataupun yang latest ataupun yang telah diletak dalam satu web ataupun portal, so they have to fill up satu untuk pendaftaran, dan dalam tu a lot of various data, vector, raster, imagery. So dekat situ dah buatkan satu platform untuk kita access for the user. So far untuk daripada 2 dimensi, 3 dimensi, dan benda yang dipraktiskan ini, normally we apply for the chronology or any operation yang telah dilakukan ataupun yang berlaku sebelum tu. So let's say in the MAF and perkara ini memang telah diguna pakai ataupun memang dipraktis dekat MAF, especially for the operation exercise. So melalui DGIN portal pun dia merupakan satu tempat ataupun satu platform yang untuk simpankan historical data. So beside that, itu melalui portal, beside that DGIM portal also providing the print on demand ataupun hard copy. Ketiga, search and rescue team dekat site menghadapi masalah auto. So bila kita cut off untuk kita elektrik ataupun ada untuk auto dekat on site, so kita terpaksa sediakan untuk hard copy map untuk bagi tujuan untuk search and rescue di on site lah. So melalui DGIM portal kita we are able to produce all kind of the requirement, especially for their operational on site. So untuk supporting for the imagery, dekat JUPEM we get the subscribe throughout the Secure Watch, they under digital group, and the other one is Planet. So both are the RGB satellite provider. And so pada ketiga tu, we are trying to explore the imagery which we gather from the radar. So as a provider, through the Malaysia, we got a radar. Then they got a black sky, others provider services all over the world. Kenapa? Is it the line issue?
Yeah, it could be. Maybe try and switch off the slide and on it back, Surveyor Yeap.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is coming back.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surveyor, are you actually in the office or?
Office.
Okay, okay. So maybe we can retry sharing it again. Maybe you're better this time.
Now, is it can see my slide?
We can see it now, Surveyor. Yes.
So, this the slide has been showing during the disaster happening since 2016 until now today. Apa yang berlaku disaster in BGSP, because we are mix of civilian and army fellow in the division. So bila ada bencana berlaku, the army fellow they will operate 24/7. So inilah maklumat yang kita sedia ataupun ready to use for any time dan up to date data for them to get visualized. So saya the naming for the application, I just put it info bencana. They got data from JKM, NAGMA, JKR, so JPS, and doing the 2D viewing, they got a COPS bencana alam. So from here we can gather all daripada tahun 2004 sampai hari ini, apa yang berlaku, di mana hotspot yang berlaku. So daripada COPS tu, memang kita akan memberikan satu share situation awareness kepada pasukan di Padang lah. Okay. Dan selepas ini all data adalah daripada NNC. Macam mana JUPEM kita nak provide? Once kita manage our data, elevation data, raster data, history, time-based data tu semua capability dekat BGIM, dan apa data yang real time yang kita boleh provide kepada pasukan dekat Padang. So we get the initiative to create the JUPEM crowdsource.
Yeah, tell you what, since you passed me a copy of the slides, why not I'll share the slide and you just present it. Maybe it'll be clearer that way.
Yeah, give it a try, lah. Yes, Dr. Dinesh, please.
Yeah.
You play the slide and Surveyor Yeap try to just give the talk.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to try that? Shall I share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a sec. Share screen. All right,
Slide 16.
yeah. Here, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, okay, all right. So just let me know when you want to change the slide.
Yeah.
All right.
So susulan ataupun regarding after the info bencana, all the data that we get it, dan apa contribution ataupun kita data daripada JUPEM yang kita boleh provide in real time dengan kaki tangan the whole, all over the Malaysia lah. So untuk mendapati daripada kita geo information SOP yang kita publish pada tahun 2020. So kita gunakan inisiatif to develop JUPEM crowdsource due to the flood disaster that occurred in December 2021. So ini merupakan satu web-based application where user can report disaster locally by sharing location, photo and comment. Dan ini sama practicing yang apa yang kita share daripada social media melalui Twitter, YouTube. So this kind of thing, macam mana kita nak getkan all the information, is it to get the more clear for the visualize on site. Okay, so web map is then display all the report incident which is turn help the relevant authority in their SAR or relief effort. So memberikan satu gambaran sebenarnya jalan ini sudah tertutup. So adakah dia kena ikutkan divers pergi kepada jalan lain ke, alternatif ke? Dan buat masa ini dari segi crowdsourcing ini kita ada buat presentation ataupun kita discuss with the nation untuk open up kepada nationwide use in the disaster mapping and management. So benda ni we are still communicate ataupun kita collaborate dengan NACMA, NDCC berkaitan dengan what next yang kita boleh buatkan untuk preparedness for the real data ataupun pada disaster yang ongoing berlaku untuk memberikan satu gambaran yang lebih menyeluruh lah. Okay, next is regarding pada ketika tu because I'm from the BGSP JUPEM, so actually we don't know each agency ataupun dia relevant geospatial that we share up. Apa sebenarnya dari segi apa kaitan ataupun analisis yang seterusnya yang dia boleh buatkan. So dekat sini saya ada sharekan untuk satu case study, okay, yang kita berlaku banjir teruk dekat Taman Seri Muda. So kita dekat sini kita nampak dia water level was set at 5 meter. So ini 5 meter ni daripada mana saya dapat? So maklumat ini saya dapat daripada GPS. So which is they got a sensor on site, they got appearing all the data paras air yang selamat, waspada ataupun bahaya. So next they got showing where I get the 5 meters level paras air. Next slide please. Okay, dekat sini saya kumpulkan data-data yang sedia ada lah. So rainfall data ni sebab I'm not the technical people in the map, right? So kita cuma tengok forecast, okay, hari ini hujan ke, dia hujan lebat dengan berapa isi padu. Dan water level data river station ni dapat daripada Department Irrigation for Drainage, then tidal data from JUPEM. So river network kita dekat JUPEM kita ada. Dan manakala bagi terrain model ataupun dia data elevation kita dekat JUPEM SAR pada tahun 2017 lah. So auto rectify raster data ni, okay, kita ada buat subscription untuk daripada Secure Watch atau Planet. From there we can see that all the data ataupun flooding pada ketika tu memang keruh. So daripada situ we are trying to build up ataupun ini merupakan satu next mission untuk JUPEM, kita nak populatekan feature extraction melalui AI machine learning lah. Okay. So daripada situ kita boleh populatekan kita punya data vector yang up to date. Okay, next. Okay, so ini data yang dangerous level yang dikatakan untuk 5 meters tu. So maklumat ini kita boleh dapat daripada portal NACMA, which is shared by the GPS. So daripada lokasi ataupun sensor yang terdekat ke Sungai Perang. Okay. So lepas next tu kita akan cuba clean up kita punya data elevation ataupun SAR yang sedia ada untuk meet the requirement. Adakah kawasan yang disebutkan untuk paras bahaya tu, di mana kawasan yang akan terduduk ataupun terdalam air. Okay, next. So dekat sini, the light blue from the picture A, the light blue show the simulate using 5 meter level. So ini 5 meter level ni bukan kita yang populate, ini memang ada buat site ataupun collecting data topografi on site melalui GPS. Manakala yang B itu saya buatkan server untuk kita punya level untuk rising. So bila paras untuk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tu di mana sampai dia meliputi. Dan data ini hanya menggunakan untuk kita punya train model ataupun train data dan bersama dengan data GPS sahaja. Dan without kita relate dengan apa data-data yang daripada weather forecast, sebab weather forecast kita nak add in element tu mungkin dia akan help more accurate analysis lah. Okay, untuk nextnya kita akan try cuba study up the relevant with the data weather. Okay, next. Dan picture is showing the geospatial modeling using the dangers level from the river station. So dekat sini kita nampak ada satu corong yang warna hijau tu. So bila pada ketika tu, so yang ni memang dia real time. Pada ketika jika paras air membahaya, dia akan tukarkan warna kepada warna merah. Okay. So data dia dan maklumat tu ini for the station kita boleh dapatkan daripada attribute dia lah. Okay. So untuk yang seterusnya ini hanya untuk melibatkan dua data set adalah daripada terrain model and the data GPS. Next we try to integrate or we try to extract from the data rectified orthophoto. So which is we got a provider from the Black Sky, Planet. So from there adakah feature extraction able to allocate di mana kawasan yang kita kawasan yang keruh lah. Jika ketika banjir berlaku tu kita sekali foto udara RGB tu kita boleh nampak kawasan keruh. So next slide please. So dekat sini dan as we know all sensors RGB dari segi dia kekangan dia adalah sebab sensor ni adalah optical. So bila sesuatu kawasan untuk banjir tu pastinya weather tu memang berawan lah. Dan inilah cabaran yang perlu diatasi. Dan kita boleh support dengan imagery SAR tu untuk radar untuk supporting kita nampakkan perbezaan untuk melalui Penco analysis lah. Dan benda ini honestly dekat JUPEM we are not doing this kind of the analysis dan we are know all the academician memang dia study up benda ni. So untuk JUPEM we are trying to produce the relevancy or the analysis that which can help in especially for the disaster management for the next decade nantilah. Okay. So pada masa yang sama, we also flying through the UAV. So dekat UAV, we can populate the more accurate the DTM, DSM on site, berapa paras air yang berlaku dekat on site pada ketika tu. So UAV yang able to fly pada ketika tu adalah 21 hari bulan. So flood happen adalah 17. So dekat situ kita boleh nampak dia ada satu pascalnya analysis yang kita boleh buatkan risk management tu. How many sublot ataupun how many houses yang effect pada kejadian insiden pada ketika tu. So itu kita boleh support dengan data-data sepadan tanah lot yang terdapat dekat JUPEM lah. Okay. Dan perkara ni memang kita ada buat perbincangan closely with the NACMA. So sebab dekat NACMA memang kita ada 3 bahagian yang berbeza. Most likely kita sekarang ni kita supporting untuk pasca lah. So untuk preparedness ataupun readiness all the data geospatial ni dekat NACMA memang kita we are try to organize or try to guide them to get the real scenario ataupun apa yang akan possibility yang akan berlaku. Dan benda ini memang kita always up to date with them. Okay. Okay. As sebagai kesimpulannya, okay, untuk disaster management kita memang kita tahu dia merupakan satu important task to reduce the disaster risk and accommodate society needs. Every year the number of flood and landslide increase due to the development for the country. Then historical data need to be stored. Same goes to the kita punya data-data map. So pada tahun 2004, pada tahun 2017 yang berlaku banjir besar dekat Penang. So kita cuba study up apa yang sebenarnya pattern model yang kita creating dan maybe will be help for the future punya kita punya planning lah. Okay, dan to store and integrate to create a more sophisticated model for early warning and alert. And geospatial data is an important element and followed by the data sharing and dissemination help to decision making when the right platform or tools are used. So kita tahu semua jambatan bila isu disaster masuk kepada campur tangan ataupun daripada public comment tu, all the agency we are not the right agency to spoke out all the during the press conference. And as mentioned by Cik Ammar just now, all the necessary ataupun responsible agency is through Barat in NACMA and DCC. So as I can conclude, since 2014, BGSP DG platform has been actively involved in the geospatial support. So kenapa mungkin ada yang tersoal kenapa tak menggunakan ataupun throughout MyJoseph, perlu diingatkan untuk DGIM ni especially kita adalah supporting untuk kita punya MAF Malaysia Armed Forces operation, dan collaboration between agencies ni memang very important for the making geospatial support to become satu success ataupun lebih effectively yang kita akan dapat. Dan centralized committee should be developed and trust with the responsibility for the planning, coordinating, supervising relief operational during the disaster. So as I mentioned, mungkin perlu ada satu agensi yang menyalaras ataupun coordinate all the necessary relevant data geospatial in supporting for the preparedness and the prevention disaster yang mungkin akan berlaku pada masa terdekat ke ataupun long termnya planning. So seperti yang dimaklumkan, we weren't able to stop the disaster from the happening. Once the contrary climate change may increase the frequency and severity of flood, drought and storm, but we are better equipped today to prepare for them and reduce their impact. So saya rumuskan untuk ayat yang terakhir sekali. So saya rasa itu saja daripada saya. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Surveyor Yeap. You gave a very elaborate presentation and very detailed description of the systems which are built very nicely to address the situation. It is a little unfortunate the line became not clear and sometimes we lost the voice and sometimes the video a bit slow. The PowerPoint was not so smooth. Our apologies to all the audience. Now, coming back to this time for question and answers. Now, I see you have such a good system, but in the case of the Taman Sri Muda case study, it seems to be that your system was set up there for the recovery stage. That means after the event, then you can see how the houses that flooded, which one need the support for the rehabilitation and so on. But what about the early stage, early warning stage, or before the disaster? Can your system respond before the event happened? Surveyor, yep.
Yeah, I can show you for this one. Can I show my screen for a what?
Which slide, Surveyor Yeap?
No.
So you go here on the 18th of December, huh?
Yeah, my screen.
But here is you have mentioned 21 December and earlier 18 December. But earlier dates like 14, 15, 16, huh? So was your system actually responding to those occasions, or was it after the event that you are putting up this data?
Okay, actually, just now, as I mentioned just now, we got the we streaming the data from the JPS. Which is the sensor for the paras air water level from pada ketiga tu. So yang saya sebutkan untuk corong warna hijau tu, pada ketika banjir tu, before and after tu, we are unexpected di mana lokasi yang akan berlaku banjir. But from the reading from the sensor, okay, we can expect it, okay, dengan ada tambahan maklumat yang dipublishkan oleh map. Okay, untuk dalam seminggu ni mungkin ada berlaku hujan lebat dekat kawasan ni. So pada kawasan ni for certain hotspot tu kita perlu plotkan dan kita akan monitor by sensor on site. Bila berlaku banjir saya, okay, reported masuk saja JUPEM cloud source tu. So itulah masa tu to prove that sebenarnya data geospatial memberikan JPS sudah memberikan satu alert ataupun memberikan satu gambaran simbologi which is the paras air pada ketika tu. Dan early warning berkaitan dengan hujan pun dipublishkan oleh map melalui NAKMA. So daripada situ, honestly for me, from the system kita hanya boleh visualize je. Kita visualize depending data yang availability dekat jambatan teknikal yang sedia ada. Okay, dan if possible, I can share my slide, my screen.
Okay, alright, so yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, so right now what you seeing that this ada info bencana, which is the data from the JPS. So dekat sini ada notifikasi aras air dengan amaran semasa. So kita nampak dari segi dangers ni, adakah kawasan apa yang ditujukan untuk dangers ni berlaku dari segi mapping yang kita nampak ni, dia paras air pada ketika tu ataupun lembagan sungai berkenaan adalah di paras bahaya. Dan benda ni kita perlu buatkan counter check dekat on-site lah. So ini maklumat daripada GPS. So saya rasa dari segi sensor yang dekat on-site tu memang well managed to get the latest or up-to-date data. Okay, kenapa map ni tak keluar?
Ya, sebenarnya untuk 14, 15, 16 hari bulan tu, dalam sistem memang ada amaran diberi oleh JPS ke?
Ya, correct.
Nanti mungkin boleh masuk dalam kita punya paper lah. Sebab one of the feedback we got that they didn't see public, some of the public give the feedback, they didn't see the warning from JPS on the 14, 15, 16. So let's see whether we can get the record of that or not.
I try to find back. We got doing the screen capture before that.
Yes. I think later you can include in your paper lah. So then later on we can get JPS also to verify it. Okay. Is there something else you want to show us here?
So this the other places that we proving in showing the DTM and the data JPS. So it's reliable to which is we can boleh di lebih meyakinkan daripada data geospatial untuk kita punya supporting data di on-site. So ini adalah yang warna biru ni, ini adalah balai polis dekat Bukit Kenal. So which is pada ketiga tu we get the latest JUPEM crowdsourcing tu, kita dapat bawa untuk balai polis depan tu memang ditengalami dengan air lah. So pada ketiga tu memang betul paras bahaya dekat station ID PHT Palut Hina ini. So daripada GPS tu memang dia menunjukkan paras tu 10 meter tu. Dan similarity ataupun on-site, apa yang berlaku dekat on-site tu untuk meyakinkan saya punya analisis adalah betul lah. Saya punya tanggapan. Okay.
Very good lah. Very good. So maybe we can go to the questions from the audience. Okay. So Yeap, you can see these questions, huh? Kalau the first one is in providing support and assistance for natural disaster, better quality maps can also help to understand the impact. Yeah.
Okay. For question number 1, providing the assistance natural disaster. Sebagaimana yang sedia maklum, JUPEM untuk borders padang pentadbiran, any features yang kita collect tu dalam kita keluarkan pemetaan tu, so itulah data owner by JUPEM. How about kita nak impact kepada dari segi perancangan bandar, so kita ada I-plan. So by right integration ataupun kita kena work together lah. Dan macam ni kita benda ni kita nak selaraskan untuk kita to create satu understand the impact for the satu risk map lah. So benda ni kita perlukan satu kolaborasi antara jabatan, dan persoalan akan timbul siapa yang akan koordinate. Apa yang berlaku sekarang ni, melalui DGIM portal ni kita lebih kepada fulfill the requirement, the need of the MAF. So we have to go through the one of the committee or agency to call out all the needs for the especially for the impact in the disaster lah. So dan perkara ni telah ditunjukkan ataupun POC kita buat pada tahun 2020 during the pandemic COVID. So the starting up we collaborate with the I-Plan, dari segi kita DOSM, PGN. So termasuk juga kita punya pembangunan PBT dekat on-site sesuatu kawasan tu. Dan pada ketiga tu memang kita kita bawa derive ataupun kita recognize apa sebenarnya masalah yang tertimbul. So daripada statistical data, tabular data, we have to geospatialkan dia untuk dapat the correct ataupun more reliable analysis melalui GIS tools lah. Dan GIS tool ni memang the power is there. Cuma depending the operator macam mana kita nak keluarkan kita punya output tu is more reliable, and credibility tu memang kita kena dapat satu pengesahan yang sebenar yang berlaku dekat on-site lah. Bukan setakat kita tengok on-screen kan. Dan kadang-kadang kita kena how confident your output coming out. Dan benda itu memang kita dah prove it. That's why during kita punya dasar keselamatan negara pada tahun 2020 bulan 11 memang dah publishkan untuk satu adalah geodata raya. Big data. Okay, so yang itu yang elemen tu untuk kita buatkan integration dan to get back the traceability bagi kita punya data-data especially untuk pada ketiga tu adalah augmenting. Okay. Yes,
so just now you mentioned MAF untuk benefit of the audience. Can you tell us what is MAF?
Malaysia Armed Forces. Kita punya ATF.
Okay.
Angkatan Tentera Malaysia.
So this information from MAF given to the public?
No.
So only within your own organization?
Yeah, because dia ada data terperingkat untuk keselamatan pertahanan. So dalam tu dia ada instead of dia punya operasi, dia punya tempat-tempat yang hotspot tu. So daripada benda itu kita terbitkan untuk analysis risk map yang boleh membantu untuk bagi satu efficient decision kepada mereka lah. Dan
so that information that you sharing later on, do you share it with the other disaster management agencies?
Right now we just share between JUPEM. We are not share for the public yet. And they have to get the consent from the MF. Setakat mana kita boleh share kan? Sebab dari segi keanggotaan untuk sesuatu operasi itu memang bagi dia orang adalah sulit lah. Contohnya deployment, how many human resources dekat satu operasi muni yang berlaku dekat Selangor ni. So dekat situ melalui DG memang kita ada. Cuma shareable ini setakat ni memang dia pegangkan untuk sebab data keselamatan pertahanan untuk operasi dia.
I see. So just now you mentioned about the raster data. So can you tell us what is the working relationship for sharing data with the MISA? Because MISA is our national agency for getting satellite images and so on. Especially in disaster management, the timing is critical. So how does that arrangement work with your organization and MISA?
Pada ketika yang MISA kita penglibatan untuk pandemic COVID-19 MCO. So kita memang ada work together collaboration with MISA dan throughout the services SOA, services oriented architecture tu. So MISA able to serve us the services radar sat daripada spesifik untuk area lah. So daripada kawasan tu kita put it together, maybe MISA tu melalui perisikan tu dia mendapatkan satu latest image dan predict what AOI that we need it. Dan
I see. Untuk tujuan disaster management ni, do you get data from satellite data from MISA?
So far we get it is through the perisikan.
I see.
From JUPEM.
And okay. Yes, please continue.
Yeah, from JUPEM we get it. Okay, the same provider, which is we have it in JUPEM, Secure Watch, Planet, and the other in the MISA they got a Secure Watch and the Airbus. So it seems like the provider almost the same, and the providing and the radar sat that which under administrator between MISA, which is the added value for the disaster management, the latest imagery. If you subscribe, we depending the availability for the data and what we can control throughout the MISA. Shareable the data must coordinate by some agency that maybe melalui JPM lah. Apa yang berlaku sekarang ni melalui MKM memang kita work together, kumpulan kerja geodata to prove that sebenarnya kita all agency adalah boleh kolaborasi each other. Dan persoalan yang timbul, siapa yang akan co-op? Siapa akan jadi coordinate?
Yeah, so dalam erti kata coordination ni, how does your overlap with pusat Geospatial negara? Okay. But you also collecting a lot of data. So how do you connect with the PGN?
Okay, PGN, we also getting the services through the services oriented architecture SOA. So up to date data, they are managed by them. Then because we have to clear for the guideline for especially for the POI, PGN they collect all the agency data that shareable for each other. And they have developed and clean up all the necessary data and depending for our requirement. If we just want to get the statistical how many dewan dekat kawasan ini, so sebenarnya indicator tu kita tak boleh buat filtering daripada services PGN. So melalui kumpulan kerja geodata, benda ni pun kita prove it workable.
Yeah, and any other question from the floor, by the way? I'm
sorry, Prof. Rashid.
Yes, please.
One name from Shah Alam, UITM Shah Alam.
Yes, please, one name.
Okay. saya rasa in terms of data, in terms of system, we have a good system. Banyak sistem yang ada at various organizations. Tetapi the problem is the integration of the system and also the coordination between various agencies. Itu the disasternya. Disasternya duduk di situ. Bukan kita have good system, kita ada various organization, JPS working in silo, ini working in silo. So tetapi kita tak ada coordination. So during disaster, we really need to work on the disaster preparedness daripada awal. So sekarang ni kita tengok bila disaster happen, everybody start to do research and so on, buat sistem itu, buat sistem ni. Tetapi when it comes to another disaster, it's going to be another disaster. Itu just my comment.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So Yeap, you want to respond to that?
Yeah. Sebab
yes.
Apa yang Prof UiTM saying memang betul. Sebab bila kita bila kita come of integration, so that means siapa yang akan coordinate tu. Dan di JUPEM ataupun dekat BGSP, we have no choice. We have to provide the latest information dan kita perlukan perbincangan lanjut dengan jabatan-jabatan yang berkaitan. So the needed of the data and the coordination throughout JUPEM lah. So benda ni akhirnya kita dapat apa yang kita nak lah. Dan adakah dia akan publish melalui satu portal yang diselaraskan dekat satu komiti ataupun agensi tu, itu memang saya rasa is depending the organisation ataupun tata organisasi yang sedia ada lah. Apa yang kita buat, usahakan integration part, memang itulah masalah yang utama akan berlaku. Dan dia sudah berlaku ataupun telah di efficient data, retrieving real-time data tu from several agency tu, memang benda tu dah berjalan dengan lancar dan diguna pakai di organisasi MKM dengan ATM. Cuma bila pergi kepada CVDM, I think because as you know, DGIM Defense Geospatial Information Management kan, dia mesti ada elemen untuk persoalan data keselamatan pertahanan dunia. So itu yang mungkin saya rasa saya tak jika on behalf BGSP saya rasa tak ada isu.
Okay, thank you. Sorry ya. Yep, and I think there was another question from the floor.
Rashid, saya Zul daripada UTM.
Yes, please Zul.
Just nak bagi remarks, saya juga one of the advisor dalam NAPMA. Saya nampak the survey Yeap punya soalan, who will be the coordinating punya agency, saya nampak lebih nampak NAPMA kat sini. Masalah sekarang ni NAPMA kemungkinan dia punya infrastruktur di NDCC tak sebaik macam di BGSP for example, dan juga staff technical di sana tak ada untuk bantu untuk technical handling data, geospatial sebagainya. Dan saya nampak betul somehow apa yang dibuat oleh Surveyor Yeap dan juga BGSP amat baik, terus berinteraksi dengan NAPMA. Sebab kalau tengokkan dalam disaster management cycle itself, DGIM itself supposed to boleh di-upgrade untuk bantu di fasa respon, fasa pemulihan, fasa mitigasi dan pencegahan dan persediaan. Data-data ni pun dapat daripada different agency. Macam fasa respon for example, tadi ada crowdsourcing yang dapat digunakan daripada memperkasakan komuniti untuk report all those disaster di lapangan. Ya. Yang kedua, saya juga dapat lihat di mana pasukan tim smart, dia juga ada drone. Dia juga melaporkan hazard di lapangan. Jadi all this kind of information dapat dipopulate dalam fasa respon punya modul. Fasa pemulihan kita nampak sebelum ni, right after disaster, tak ada pun agensi ataupun kurang agensi ataupun kurang coordination tentang pemetaan kerosakan infrastruktur. Jadi nak bagi penilaian kerosakan, nak bagi distribution of bantuan pun mungkin tak berapa teratur. Kalau ada this kind of information di fasa pemulihan menggunakan data geospatial, crowdsourcing dan juga data remote sensing juga dapat digunakan dalam DGIM punya platform dan bantu pihak NAPMA juga dalam fasa pemulihan. Okey, satu lagi tadi bila survey banyak buat modeling, modeling of flood sebagainya di fasa mitigasi dan pencegahan. Di sinilah peranan JMG, JKR, JPS sebagainya untuk bantu pihak berkuasa untuk buat pemetaan banjir, hazard risk and vulnerability assessment. Jadi sini juga dia akan digunakan data-data hazard and risk ni digunakan oleh Plan Malaysia sebagainya untuk mitigation plan dan sebagainya. then towards the end, this information dapat digunakan di fasa persediaan, preparedness sebelum banjir itself. Jadi Met Malaysia akan bagi warning hujan setakat mana di kawasan mana sebagainya. Jadi for example, JPS dah ada dah dia punya modelling of disaster ataupun hazard untuk certain area yang akan banjir, dan dia akan gunakan di fasa persediaan untuk maklumkan pada kawasan tersebut untuk buat evacuation sebagainya. Jadi kalau ada this kind of modul-modul dalam JUPEM yang dapat diintegrate dan membantu pihak NDCC NADMA, saya rasa dan dia dikoordinasi oleh pihak NADMA, mungkin dapat membantu, dapat kurangkan disaster risk di Malaysia. Itu saya pada pandangan Prof. Rashid.
Yes, thank you very much for the very important feedback. Sekarang saya pergi next question. Ada soalan ni tentang buku SOP. So Surya, boleh bagi tahu macam mana nak dapatkan buku SOP?
Okay, buku SOP itu boleh melalui kita bahagian dasar pemetaan JUPEM, BDPP. So dari segi publicity tu saya rasa dia orang baru buat percetakan ni. Sebab last kita buat publishing tu dia ada buat minor changing tu, dan boleh rujuk kepada BDPP bahagian dasar pemetaan.
Okey lah. So kalau siapa nak tu boleh contact saya lepas ni lah ya.
So Profesor Rashid, mungkin saya tambah sikit lagi daripada Prof Cik Zulkarnain tu. Memang betul apa yang berlaku sekarang ni dari segi practically ataupun implementation yang berlaku dekat MAF. Okay, we try to promote ataupun we showing to the NADMA, which is sebenarnya benda ni kita boleh dapat early dari segi message melalui portal DJIM tu, dan discussion ni memang keep on continuity, dan cuma persoalan akan dia akan buat penyerasan untuk daripada top management dekat NADMA lah, dan benda ni memang discussion ni memang ongoing dekat NADMA bersama dengan JUPEM to adopt the nationwide.
It's also good lah. The discussions are good, but eventually, end of the day, I think the people, the scientists, what they want to see is a system. They operate macam tanpa dikesan lah. It's working the coil ubiquitously, in an ubiquitous manner. They are all automated, So the communication is done and warning is issued. So that not so much of the continuously of the meeting. I think in the setting up of the system, yes, at this moment, but eventually when it's totally integrated and the communication is there between the agencies, I think and the benefit can be felt by the society. That will be the hallmark of the success. Okay, any other question from the floor? So if no question, it's now about 11:20. What we're going to do, first of all, we'd like to thank Surya for spending the morning with us. Thank you for elaborate presentation and explanation. Let us show our appreciation to Surya in our normal way. We can go to the reactions and give you appreciation. And afterwards, we will take a group photograph. I think the Secretariat will ask you to on your video cameras, and you can then have your photograph taken as a proof that you attended today's talk. Now, with that, I hand over back to the Secretariat. Yes, Dr. Danish, are you there to take the photograph? Can everybody put up a big smile? It's probably be Anna on the website also. Secretariat, any response?
Nah.
Are we done?
Mana ya? Jadi saya sleepy dia.
Prof, okay, we're done, sir.
Thank you, Shukri. Okay. So the GS, Dr. Dinesh, when you're done, please let us know. Huh?
Yeah, we're done, sir. We're done.
You're done?
Yes, sir, we're done, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, bye-bye now. See you at the next talk.
Thank you, sir.